Hello, Chris. How are you doing today, sir? I got on Kush. I have Chris. Fantastic. And we've got Tricupulus. Fantastic. Gonna get some light on in here. Gonna get warmed up. Alrighty. Looks pretty good. Wow. Looks like it's gonna be busy tonight. So just while we give people a chance to check in and show up late, who saw the announcement on Remind today as to what this workout was going to be about? Oh, we got James and Julian. Okay. This one's going to be a little bit of a reach for you guys, but you should have some fun. It's an intermediate workout. We've got on Kush. All right. So people did not check their messages, or maybe it didn't go out. Let's check. I'll be back in just a minute, folks. Talk amongst yourselves. All right. I'm sorry, guys. That took just a little bit longer than I thought. All right. Just checking to see if there's any messages, and I had to go get my cell phone. All right. Looks like a pretty good group tonight. We are going to go to a Zoom class a little bit earlier than usual. I'm going to make sure that Zoom link is posted here. I am using my old laptop today, so there shouldn't be any technical problems. Let's see. That's not working. Let's try that again. See, that's what happens when you say there shouldn't be any technical problems. All right. This is the Zoom link for tonight, for those of you who need it, and then we're going to get started. Boom. All right. So for those of you who didn't see the announcement earlier today, I'm going to bow in and introduce this class. As we get towards the end of the summer, we're trying to make the classes a little bit more interesting for everybody. So this class is going to be one that I've meant to do for a long time. I don't usually have a lot of time. Good question. Ankush says, what are we doing? Yeah, I did jinx it when I said we shouldn't have any technical problems, but I got the link to work. Okay. This class is one I've meant to do for a long time. So I'm going to bow in and introduce myself, and because this recording should be useful for other things as well. So I want it to be a little bit more efficient. Okay. Let's do this. Hello, my name is Sensei Chris Baglieri of Kidsafe Youth Programs Online, and today's class is going to be a little bit different. Today, we're going to talk about the different martial arts that all go into Kidsafe. Okay, Kidsafe Youth Programs is a little different than a lot of martial arts. We don't call ourselves a style. We're not just one style. The instructors from Kidsafe have a background in several different styles, and over the years that has blended together into what's really called a multi-style. So we're going to talk a little bit about what a martial arts style is, and we're going to practice some techniques that are right out of our Kidsafe classes, but we're going to highlight them in a way that lets you know a little bit more about where they come from and what those martial arts are about. Okay, so we're going to start off. It seems like all of the Asian martial arts that I know all begin with the bow. So we're going to start with a very generic bow. In Kidsafe, we just come to attention and we bow. Okay, our bow is the fist in open hand bow that I took from Ishin Karate. But other martial arts use a different bow. So let's start off by doing 3 or 4 different bows. Traditional Japanese arts do not bring their hands up from the side. They bow from a standing position. Japanese arts particularly, so karate, bow. Some karate schools turn the bow into more of a military salute. And they sometimes add the phrase, ush. I won't talk about what ush means, but you will hear in Ishin Karate and some traditional dojos, ush. In more Chinese arts, you might see the fist bow, or you might see in Kung Nu Oriental martial arts, we use the open-handed bow that symbolizes the 3 opens of Kung Nu: open heart, open mind, open hands. We bow. Let's get warmed up. Okay, so let's jogging in place. I'm going to take it really easy in my warm-up because I am healing a knee injury. But I want you to move your arms and pick your feet up. Good job. And marching in place, knees up nice and high. We don't practice Muay Thai in Kidsafe, but these knee drills where you're striking with your knee are very indicative of some of those martial arts. Sometimes they even throw kicks with their knees. So let's turn our knees sideways. I'm going to do a slight wardrobe change here. Let's turn our knees sideways and think about kicking from side to side. So we're going to take our right hand, bring our left knee across. Right hand. Good. Grabbing an imaginary opponent, bringing them to my knee. Grabbing an imaginary opponent, bring to the knee. Grab the opponent, knee up. Knee up. Angle your knee because you would have different targets. Aiming for the ribs, aiming for the thigh. Knee strike. Knee strike. While we're here, let's use a shin kick. Okay, pointing the toes and just kicking with the shin, left to right. Take it really gently. We're not gonna put a whole lot of energy into this until we're warmed up. Okay, twisting. Let's add the lower body and twist out so that our knee comes forward. Switch, 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 switch. Good. Let's go a little bit further. And one of the martial arts that has influenced a lot of Kidsafe instructors is Kung Fu. Let's think of a deeper stance. Longer than a forward stance, more of a lunge. You will find deep stances in Kung Fu. Good. Switch. Other side. I'm pushing out my front knee, opening up my hip, stretching the inside of my back leg. I'm not turning my toe the way we would in a forward stance. Switch. And lunge. All right, bring those feet in a little bit, and let's start to warm up our upper body, okay? To start off with, we have an infinite number of ways to strike with our hands, but what I want you to do is take a neutral stance. That means your feet are side by side, not one in front, not the other in front, but side by side. And a boxing guard, hands by your head. Good. So let's start off with just short jab, jab, jab. I'm going to turn my body and punch through the center line. Jab, 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 jab. Let's go to 2, 1-2 combinations. Let's go to 3, okay? Turning your upper body, loosening up your arms, still not using a lot of force. Ready? Good, let's add some upper body movement. So I'm going to slip and punch, slip and punch. Good. For now, we're going to slip and punch with the same hand. So I'm slipping to one side, punching with the same hand. Switch, switch. You can add some footwork. So as we slip and punch now, we're going to step under an imaginary object, bring our foot together, and punch. Switch, 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 switch. As you do this, you don't want to bend over forward. Keep your body more or less upright. You're hunching, but you're not bending. I don't know if that difference makes any sense to you. So you can roll your shoulders forward to protect your body, to bring your arms in closer, or underneath, and punch. Good, now slip underneath and punch with the opposite hand. So I'm going to go to my left, punch to my right. Good, switch, 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 switch. Good. Now, we're going to work on the footwork that's part of that. So, as I step to my left, I'm going to turn my body. As I step under to my right, I'm going to turn my body the other way. Let's just work on the feet. So I'll let you get a view of my feet. Start with your right leg in front. I'm going to step to my right, under an imaginary attack, and forward. Step to my left, bring that foot in, and forward. Switch, 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 switch. Same movement, but now use the opposite arm. So as I step underneath, I'm going to turn my body. Step underneath, turn my body. I'm going to give you the full view of the upper body now that you've had a chance to see the footwork. Ready? Stepping to the right, left leg in front, cross. Step, cross. Step, cross. Step, cross. Now, as you get used to this, and when you step, you're going to step onto this foot and push against the ground with it so that when you cross, your hip comes forward. Good. Step, cross, step, cross. Switched hands. So we're now doing the inside arm. Good. While we're at it, let's work on our back fist drill, which is really what martial artists tend to do on this drill. So start back away from the camera a little bit. Put your left leg forward. What I'm going to do is step across the line with my left foot, step forward with my right, and do a back fist. Cross, step, back fist. Still that ducking motion. Yeah. Good. One more time down the line. Back up again. This time, we're going to do a combination. Starting with my left leg forward, coming across the line. This is called the Z-letter step pattern. If you look at the pattern that my feet make, it's actually a zigzag step. Stepping out to the left, right back fist, then turning my body left cross. Good. Stepping across. 1, 2. Good. All right, getting warm, right? Shaking out the wrists, shaking out the elbows, shaking out the shoulders. All right, one of the things that we talk about in the martial arts, boxing moves are nice and small, and if you have a good training partner, they can learn to generate power. But in the Asian arts, particularly the Japanese arts, and in some Kung Fu styles, they use a principle of concentration of a technique. They start off with a really big technique, full motions, and then they make the technique smaller and smaller and smaller and try to concentrate that power. So we're going to do a traditional Shotokan, which is karate drill, in which we're going to do a full-size technique, and then we're going to make it smaller and smaller and smaller. And it starts to look like a different martial art, okay? Start off with your feet side by side. Bring your right foot into a cat stance. Bring your right hand up to the classic lower block load. And as I step forward and across the line, I'm going to do a full extension lower block. Let's just rewind that. Boom. Okay, lower block. Pull the front foot back. Chamber, lower block. Pull the front foot back. Chamber, lower block. While we're here, we're going to add the second technique, which is a reverse punch. Reverse punch. We're doing Shotokan style reverse punch here, not a boxing cross. It is lower. It is aimed at the solar plexus of my opponent. Good. Rewind, cat stance. Load your lower block. Reverse punch. Good. Did you notice the shift in my stance when I do my reverse punch? I'm going to do one sideways so you can see what I'm doing. Okay? Cat stance is here. Most of my weight is on my rear foot. I step to a forward stance on my lower block, and then as I do my reverse punch, turn my hips and bend my front knee just slightly so that it's coming over my front foot. So I'm going to be here, here. My back leg is straight or almost straight, and then turning those hips. One more time. Ready? Cat stance, lower block, reverse punch. Excellent. Let's try and do that all as one movement. Okay? So I'm going to come back up here to eye level. Let's do it all as one movement. Here we go. Starting off in a neutral stance, bringing the right leg in, cat stance, stepping out, lower block, reverse punch. Here's where it gets fun. Do the next one. Take a step forward with the rear leg, cat stance, load the lower block. Good. Stepping out to a forward stance, lower block. Let's just repeat that lower block two or three more times. Cat stance, lower block. Cat stance, lower block. Cat stance, lower block. All right, if you want to add a little bit more zing to your lower block, turn your hips as you step. That's where that crescent step comes in. One more time. Cat stance, kind of loading those hips, lower block. Good. Again, bend your front back knee just slightly, then push it to the reverse punch. One more time. Lower block. Sorry, let's do cat stance, lower block, reverse punch. Excellent. We're now going to combine all of that into an advancing drill, which is traditional Japanese karate practice. Okay? Cannot tell you how many of these that I did as a white belt. If it was less than 10,000, I'll be surprised. Starting off with a line on the floor so that I can judge. I'm coming forward into my lower block, straightening my back leg, throwing the reverse punch right on the line. Good. Feet together. Just getting ready for that left lower block. Reverse punch. One more time. Stepping forward. Lower block. Reverse punch. All right. Shotokan. And I have to make a slight distinction here, a difference, okay? Kung-Fu Oriental martial arts, which is what I hold my black belt in, breaks lower block down into two movements and uses two hands. Shotokan does not. Shotokan makes the lower block one hand and then the reverse punch. So we're going to do a Shotokan style lower block so that we can match one foot with one hand and the other foot with the other hand. So I'm going to step forward into my forward stance, then reverse punch. And that's really one count. That's 100. Ready? From a neutral stance, stepping forward with the right foot, lower block, reverse punch. Stepping forward with the left foot, lower block, reverse punch. One more time if you have room. If you don't have room, do it the way we did it in Shotokan class. When you run out of room going forwards, step backwards, lower block, reverse punch. Step back, lower block, reverse punch. Reverse punch. Excellent. All right. Now I'm going to talk about a different martial art that many of us have seen in Kidsafe, but mostly at the tournament because your instructors don't tend to teach this. I teach some of it since Aaron has a few little bits and pieces. We're going to talk about Isshinryu, which is a different form of karate. Most of what we teach and show is Shotokan karate because I hold rank in Shotokan. Most of the kata that we do are Shotokan. But I want to talk about Isshinryu karate. Isshinryu karate is hard style, just like Shotokan, which means all the movements are direct and forceful, but it makes some modifications to the techniques that are interesting. First modification is their forward stance. Instead of twice the length, twice as long as there's wide, their forward stance is short and square. Their feet stay completely parallel. If you're not good at math, parallel means this. Both my feet are pointing in the same direction. Okay, so if I were to walk on my hands, this is what my feet would look like. And they use a very small crescent step. So their feet are parallel, their stance is perfectly square, and when they step forward, they're going to make a short circular motion to move one foot to the front. So let's just practice that. I'm going to back up so you have some room to see what I'm doing with my feet. Right? Crescent step forward. Good. And my feet stay in that square box. Every time I stop, I'm going to use this as a square. So see the X on the floor? My foot's going to end up right there in the X. That's my sort of box step. Good. Excellent. Now, another change in Ishinryu is they throw a natural punch. They don't finish turning it, and they chamber their hands vertically. Okay. In fact, they use a vertical hand for a lot of techniques in the form of Ishinryu that I studied. Okay. So you'll see chambering to your hips. Let's just practice that for a few minutes. Let's get in a neutral stance. And instead of chambering here, let's just stick our hands to the side of our body. Elbows still pulled back. You don't want your elbows sticking out. Okay. And what you want to do is treat your fist almost like a baseball or a rock. And they throw more ballistic punches. Okay. They're still going to turn them, but they threw them. And they're fully relaxed. They throw their shoulder, and then they lock it at the very end. Okay. So let's use chambered punch. All right. Let's just do horizontal punch. Be a little bit easier. Good. This side-handed chamber pulls back a little bit further than we're used to. Beautiful. Let's see if we can combine that with short steps forward, and we start to see where Ishinryu gains its power from. A short, efficient step forward. Let's see if it's all right, stepping forward. Let's do a reverse punch. Stepping forward, reverse punch is a very Ishinryu type move because you got these short steps. Short step forward, switch hands. Good. I'm stepping backwards because I'm out of room. Small circle. Beautiful. All right. Does that remind anybody of another martial art that we practice? Okay. What if I use those vertical punches and I brought everything in just a little bit smaller? Okay. Now, if I take my front foot and instead of pointing it straight forward, I turn it slightly in. And if I put my feet on an imaginary line on the floor where my heel is on one side of the line and my toe is on the other side of the line. I'm going to do it sideways so you can see the toe of one foot and the heel of the other foot. It's an even shorter forward stance. Okay, let's try stepping forward. Yeah, let's do same side punch. Good. So what sort of punches am I doing? Center line punches, vertical punches right out of Wing Chun. Switch, switch. Step backwards, punch forward. Good. Step forward, punch forward. Good. Going to give you a challenge now. Step forward once, punch forward 3 times. So you got to slow your feet down and speed your hands up. Let's just start off with our right foot forward and do 1, 2, 3 punches. Beautiful. Take a step and do 1, 2, 3 punches. Take a step. 1, 2, 3. Beautiful. Let's back up again and do it again. This time, every time you take a step, I want you to start the punch when the step starts. That's hard to say. Start the punch when your foot begins to move, and then finish the punch when your foot has arrived at its destination. So if I start behind my line again, when my foot touches here, my heel touches the ground, I should be finished with my punch. Ready? So I'm going to start off with my left leg forward and my left hand punching. As I step forward, 1 punch, 2 punch, 3 punch. Beautiful. Triple punch, stepping forward. Bringing the back foot forward. Punch 1, punch 2, punch 3. And I'm going to try and do that all on one beat. So again, start with the left foot forward, put our left hand out, and do 3 punches starting with the right. So you can see the Wing Chun punch is designed to penetrate straight into your opponent. Beautiful. Fantastic. All right. We're going to take a big trip sideways now. We're going to go away from the smaller. Wing Chun techniques and start again with a really big technique. This is out of a kata called Hand 4, but it's also very much of a Kung Fu move. Both Kung Nu, which is one of the martial arts that I practice, and some of the forms that some of our black belts have studied are influenced by Kung Fu, which is Chinese. So far we've done Chinese, Wing Chun, Japanese karate, 2 different forms of Japanese karate. And now we're going to think about Kung Fu, okay? In its origins, they say that Kung Fu was influenced by animals. So the motions are more stylized, more pretty and interesting motions that were applied to combat. So we're going to start off with a really interesting one. Put your hands up in this position, and you're going to imagine a punch coming towards your head. And instead of Shotokan, blocking powerfully against that punch, what you're going to do is lift your hand, grab that punch, and pull it past your head. Okay, let's try it again. So from here, as the punch is coming in, I might be able to duck out of the way a little bit, but as I duck, I'm putting my hand in the center line, turning it upside down, and stepping away. Good. This is soft style high block. Right hand up, body moving, stepping away, turning my body away, turning my hips away. We'll get to what this hand is doing in just a minute. Ready? As the punch comes in. I'm sort of giving you a hint, aren't I? One more time. Beautiful. Fantastic. One more time. All right, you're in a full lunge stance here. Let's think about what this hand is doing, and that is if that punch has a kick that's coming after it, I'm deflecting the punch. I'm also going to deflect the kick. So as I step out to my left, good. Soft style lower block, soft style higher block. Good. And if you do this big and deep and wide, all of a sudden, you've reached into the area of Kung Fu. Okay? One more time. Good. Turn your body back to the front and do a chop. One more time. Okay. We've been concentrating on our left hand. Continue to do that. Left hand makes a circle, comes across my body, into a lunge, face my opponent with a chop. Fantastic. Ready? 1, 2. Oh, all of a sudden my other hand is involved. I'm actually sneaking in 2 other moves that are interesting to do. Now we're going to do our soft style block by turning it into what's called a circular block. So I'm going to start with my right hand, come across my body. That's the part where I duck in case the punch comes too close to me. Then I'm going to reach underneath with my left hand, grab that punch, pull it back. I can strike at my opponent. I can deflect a leg or a kick. Okay, I'm going to grab that kick. I'm going to strike at my opponent's head. Oh, yeah. What happens if you grab someone's kick and yank it up? You know what happens. Okay, one more time. Starting with the right hand, picking it up with the left hand, and chopping with the left hand, soft style high block with the right hand. So by now you guys have figured out what form this move is from. Yes, the reason I call this movement in Heian 4, the reason I call it Shaolin is because it looks like and is inspired from Kung Fu. 1, 2. Good. Here's a challenge for you. I've been doing it mirror image from the kata that you're used to. Let's do it in the other direction. Again, it starts off with our right hand coming to the center line, taking a block and pulling it away from, pulling our opponent forward and off balance, turning my body away from my opponent. Again, soft style high block. Here, here. This hand is neutral right now, not doing anything. Good. When I'm done with this block, my arm should line up with my opponent. My back leg should be straight. I can't lock this knee today, but I'm doing the best I can. Okay? Ready? Add the soft style lower block. Should be here in the kata, but in reality, it would be this. I would be like grabbing that foot coming in. Ready? Excellent. Add the other hand. So now our left hand is starting the technique, pushing that block across our body. Our right hand is picking it up, pulling it away from our opponent, grabbing that leg, pulling it in. and doing a chop to the head level. Excellent. One more time. Circular block. 1. Counter, chop. 2. Good. In the kata, we would then kick. Go. All right. So we got a little bit of kung fu going on. We've talked about boxing. We've talked about 2 different styles of karate. And we've talked about 2 different styles of kung fu. Wing Chun kung fu and technically tiger form kung fu, excuse me. One of the things that kung fu talks about is using your hands in more interesting ways as weapons. We do not do finger strikes much, okay? In our basic strikes, we talk about a clawing motion or scratching motion, but we don't do spear hand strikes. We do a spear hand as part of another series of moves. So I'm going to take a move out of Wing Chun and practice it as a way of sort of acknowledging different hand positions, okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to start with both hands up. We're going to shoot the right hand forward, and then we're going to bring it across our body in a ridge hand. It really could be an elbow strike. So out, turn it upside down, elbow, and my body turns as well. Good. Next hand, other hand, straight forward, turn it over. Good. Next hand, straight forward, turn it over. Good. Next hand, straight forward. We call this wrist block in Kidsafe because I'm impacting or directing my opponent with my wrist. Here, here. Switch. 1, 2. Good. Switch. 1, 2. Switch. Good. Try that as one motion, just straight out. And when your arm gets to be about here, turn it over. Let's start with the right hand. Ready? Now this ridge hand can be doing a lot of things. It could be deflecting a technique, but it also could be grabbing behind someone's head. Where's my senpai? Senpai Mikey. I could be grabbing behind my opponent's head to strike to the front of their face. I could be controlling their neck. I could be doing an elbow strike to the head. So lots of different techniques hidden in there. Let's add our third technique to this sequence. Starting off with the right hand, shooting forward with a wrist strike, turning sideways with an elbow strike, chopping across with a knife hand chop. Notice the position of my arm. Fingertips the same height as my shoulders. Elbow is 1 fist away from my ribs. So you don't want to do this. It's not a chop. Here we go. Right hand again. Spear hand. Elbow strike. Keep that arm just a little bit. Bring it right back to a point right in front of your shoulder. Excellent. Other hand. Spear hand. Elbow strike. Knife hand. And this hand is practicing staying open and chambered to my side. Spear hand. Elbow strike. Knife hand. Now, let's flow through it a little bit more. Ready? Left hand, spear, elbow, knife. Right hand, spear, elbow, knife. 1, 2, 3. 1, body still square. 2, body turned. Keep your body turned. 3. Not bad. 1, 2, keep your body turned. Point your other fingers at the camera. Fantastic. All right. We are now going to turn this into a Shotokan technique by using that body turn, which is not at a Wing Chun. In Wing Chun, do not take this body turn motion, but we do. So we're going to do a classic Shotokan move, which is stepping forward with a knife hand block. So everybody start off in a right back stance. All right, right back stance. Right foot forward. My feet make an L shape on the floor. Good. What I'm going to do is as my shoulders come square, I'm going to take this hand, come up and across and freeze right there. As I step forward on the line, bring my elbow down and do a knife hand block. Let's rewind that one more time. Back stance. Good. Stepping forward. Cross. Knife hand. Turn your body. Keep this hand on your center line. One more time. Same step. Right leg is forward. Stepping forward. Cross your arms. Knife hand block. Stepping forward again from where we are. We're going to take another step forward. Bringing this hand to the center. Coming across. Notice that my hand here is flat. Okay. As I come back, knife hand block. My hand went from here to here. That's it. Okay. If you want to add a little bit more energy, you can straighten this arm. Step forward. Bring the other one right across the top. Did you see that elbow turning motion that I was using before? As I step forward, right across, knife hand block. Beautiful. Let's back up as far as your room will allow. Get in your back stance with your left knife hand block, and we're going to step forward with knife hand block. Step forward, cross, uncross. Cross. This is my load for my knife hand. It's not quite identical to the move that we did in our Kung Fu and our Wing Chun. It's actually turned a little bit towards my face. Knife hand. Arm flat. This is actually protecting myself while my ribs are open. Knife hand. You can do it going backwards too. Straighten your arm. Take a step back. When your body is square, take your other arm, shoot it across. Pull with your right arm. Knife hand block. One more time. Straight arm. Cat stance. Bringing my back arm, my right arm, across the front of my body. Knife hand block. One more time. Excellent. We're actually going to make that a little bit more complicated. Even if people haven't quite got it yet, this is the kind of video I might want you to go through a couple of times in practice. This is a classic Shotokan drill, and it comes up again in an intermediate kata. So I'm cheating today. I'm doing Shotokan and Kung Fu applications, but I'm also taking apart some of the moves from your kata. See if you can spot the move that we're going to do. Start off in a right cat stance. Take your right hand, load for a knife hand block. So I kind of went here, boom. All right, so I'm going to get a little closer so you can see what I mean by load. Good. Usually I turn it into my face. Think about it this. Right across. Okay. Don't lift my elbow as high. I'm not doing the elbow strike application here. I'm just coming across so that my elbows touch. Good. As I step forward, knife hand block. Good. Now I'm going to step off the line. Turn my hips to face forward and do a reverse punch. Excellent. Let's go back. Knife hand block with the right hand. Step out till my feet are shoulder width apart. Turning my back heel forward. Reverse punch, closing both hands. Good. One more time. Knife hand block. Stepping out. Reverse punch. Can we step forward and do the next knife hand block? Left leg. Cat stance. Chambering for knife hand block. Stepping out. Knife hand. Stepping forward into a back stance with my knife hand block. Gonna step off the line. Turn my hips. You can see my foot turning on the floor. Reverse punch. And I want to try not to turn my hips out from underneath my punch. I want to try to keep my hips on that line. Good. Stepping forward. Knife hand block. Stepping out. Reverse punch. Stepping forward or backwards if you don't have room. Knife hand block. But you got to have your feet on the line. Good. Turn your body sideways. Fingertips are shoulder height. Elbow pointing at my ribs. Stepping out. Closing those fists. Reverse punch. All right. We change one small detail, and we've got to move out of a kata that some of you are going to recognize. Okay. We're now going to reverse that sequence. We're going to do a forward stance and go back to a back stance. Everybody get your right forward stance. Good. Instead of using your reverse punch, we're going to turn upside down and do a palm strike. Good. So it's reverse palm strike. You can open both hands. Excellent. Protect your head. Notice even now, if I'm not protecting my head, I want to be back here, but once I can protect my head, I can get a little closer to my opponent. Good. So, reverse palm strike. Beautiful. Make a fist. make a fist. Pull this fist back and do a back stance. Fantastic. Stepping out, open your back hand, palm strike. Beautiful. Pull back, fist, fist. Forward stance, palm strike. Back stance, lower block. Forward stance, lower block. Beautiful. Well done. Let's try the other side. Put your left leg forward, which is we start off with the reverse technique, palm strike, right hand, blocking my head, close that fist, get back on my line. So I'm taking that front foot, I'm going to back up so you can see me. Here I am one shoulder width wide, taking that front foot, putting it on the same line as the back foot, and opening up my hands. So closing up my hands, but opening up my arms in this swastika move. Face front, palm strike, back stance, face front, palm strike, close your fists. Beautiful. All righty. Not bad. Again, you can see where Kung Fu influences karate. These large motions become concentrated down into smaller motions in karate. Let's check the time. Okay. I apologize that I can't do a whole lot of kicking today, but I do want to at least touch on some of the different kicking techniques that we teach in Kidsafe and some of the ones that we don't, but we teach them as applications. So I want to start off with a kick that's very Kung Fu. Shotokan does it, but barely. They're not a big fan of this kick. You'll see it in the traditional kata. It's called side snap kick. Okay, very much a Kung Fu technique. Crane stance, very much a Kung Fu technique. Not Kung Fu, I apologize. I said Kung Fu instead of Kung Fu about 5 times. I apologize. Very much a Kung Fu technique, crane stance. So what we're going to do is we're going to get in a right crane stance and go with a ballet foot. Toes pointed down and touch that foot against your other knee. And if you can sit in this position, that's crane stance. Just to give you a hint that I'm cheating, is I'm not locking my knee. I can't lock my knee today, but I'm not locking this leg that I'm standing on. That would make me very wobbly. I actually have it slightly bent, and then I'm just picking that foot up, holding this position. Now, to do a side snap kick, I need to brace myself for this one because my right knee is not very strong today. So to do a side snap kick, I'm going to extend my foot so that the edge of my foot is making contact with the target. So I'm going to go toes down, edge out, and back. And you notice as I'm kicking, my body is turning towards the ground. In, out. This is actually a really great way to practice this kick, and we did it that way the other night, but I want to try it without the base. I want to try to use my arms to balance myself. Crane stance, pointing my knee, not straight out to the side and not forward, but halfway in between at the 45-degree angle. As I kick, turning my hips over, coming back, and stepping forward. All right, side snap kick. But let's talk about what side snap kick is about. Side thrust kick, and that's why this target is here, is about pushing. It is about taking the muscles in the back of my body and pushing my leg out into a straight line. If I'm facing you, my knee points away from you on a side thrust kick. The heel of my foot is the striking surface, and I'm coming as close as possible to straight into the target. Not going to do good kicks today. Side snap kick is not. Side snap kick comes at an angle. I'm going to try and do this as an angle to the camera so you can see it a little better. So side snap kick comes up as it comes in. Okay, and that foot position is kind of important because it is the blade edge of my foot that I'm going to score with. So that side snap kick has a different angle of attack, upward on an angle, and a different striking surface. Great for tournaments because I want to kind of sneak in underneath someone's guard and hit those ribs. Side snap kick. All right. One more thing about side snap kick. I want to talk about striking surface. Everybody, look down at your feet. Now, pretend you're walking back to the car from the beach and you're in a parking lot. In the parking lot, like I'm in a concrete floor right now, picture an asphalt parking lot that's really hot. And what you're going to do is lift your big toe and all your toes up off the ground. And you're going to roll your foot over. I'm going to give you a close-up on this, my ugly feet. Yay, sensei. You're going to roll your feet out so that you're standing on the outside edges of your feet. Now, if I concentrate on my right foot here, if I stomp on the ground, I can feel this edge of my foot right here making contact with the ground, right down from my heel up to this bone at the bottom of my foot. That's the striking surface for side snap kick. Okay? So when you're practicing side snap kick, one of the techniques that you can do is if you get yourself a balance point here is tap that outside edge of your foot against the floor, kind of practice locking your foot in that position. Come up to your crane stance, out to the kick, back to your crane stance. When I actually do crane stance, I might touch. But if I turn to face you, you can see my foot is angled across my knee. And then it comes straight out. That's my side snap kick, using a base to support myself because I don't want to tear my knee up anymore. Okay. I think we have time for one more technique. Nope, not much. Okay. So, what martial arts have we talked about? Boxing. Focusing on head movements and footwork. Shotokan, which is a traditional form of karate, which was first taught in Japan, but it was stolen from Okinawa, which is an island near Japan. So most of Shotokan comes from an art called Okinawan hand. There's other origins that Sensei Aaron has talked about. I'm not going to go into a whole lot of details, but there are schools of Okinawa te that still exist today, and you can research them and learn a little bit about them. You go back before Okinawa te, you have Kung Fu. We've talked just a little bit about the origins of Kung Fu. I am by no means an expert in Kung Fu. I only know where some of the roots of these karate techniques have come from Kung Fu. Particularly the circular techniques and this idea of taking bigger and bigger motions and making them smaller. That's from Kung Fu. We've talked about two branches of Kung Fu, the more traditional branch and also Wing Chun Kung Fu, which talks about center line principle and again, efficient footwork. And we talked about Ishinru Karate. That's a lot for one workout. I actually had 3 or 4 other ideas that I wanted to talk about, but we'll save it for another workout, maybe next week or later this month, where I wanted to talk about Aikido, Judo, and Jiu-Jitsu. Okay, 3 Japanese arts that are pieces of them are taught inside of Kidsafe Karate, but we'll get around to it. Before I go, does anybody have any questions? Okay. Highly recommend you go back and look through this video again, practice some of those techniques and those ideas, and then see where they fit into your practice because they're in there. That's why we teach certain techniques, certain katas, certain combinations. All right, we're going to bow out and we're going to shift over to a Zoom meeting. We're going to take maybe a 2-minute water break and shift over to a Zoom meeting. Ready? I think I might have gotten a comment. So give me just a second. Yeah. Shaolin block. Yeah, no. Ankush says, are these Shaolin techniques also from Okinawa? Well, let me rephrase that. Yes. The story is that the Okinawan hand techniques, Okinawa te, is descended from someone from Okinawa who had spent time in China learning Kung Fu. So the roots of Okinawan martial arts are also from China. In truth, even though we talk about the fact that we are teaching different styles, almost everything that we teach in Kidsafe is descended from from that one lineage of Central Chinese Kung Fu coming down to Okinawan martial arts, and then over to the Japanese arts. There's another lineage of techniques in Japan that jiu-jitsu is based on. That's not drawn directly from the Kung Fu arts. That's local to Japan. So a lot of our techniques from jiu-jitsu becomes judo. So jiu-jitsu and judo. And some of our weapons techniques are from Okinawan weapons. Some are from Japanese weapons. Off the top of my head, I don't think we teach any Kung Fu weapons. I think Sensei Erin may teach some spear techniques that she's learned along the way. But no, the movement we call Shaolin, it is from Okinawan forms, but they took it from Kung Nu indirectly. But when you say from Kung Nu, the form that we hall hand 4 looked different 100 years ago, and 200 years before that it looked different, and 400 years before that it might have been Kung Fu. So you're going back 500 years or 600 years. So does it come from Kung Fu? Sure, but not very directly. Okay? Attention stance. Good question, by the way. Thank you, Kush. Ready? Let's bow. Student oath. Strive to be our best. Settle for nothing less. And before we bow, here's a suggestion for those of you who like doing research. Check out the karate student oath, the traditional oath of karate students. You'll find something interesting. Bow here. Thanks for joining us tonight. I'm going to edit this video down to the parts where I'm not sounding silly, and I'll leave it up for people to practice. See you guys next time or in the Zoom class. Have a nice night.